Since Trump took office in January, one of his top priorities has been cutting and reorganizing the spending within the federal government, tasking Elon Musk to lead Doge and find out what necessary funding needs to be cut. Already, Doge's efforts have led to thousands of federal government employees to be fired or laid off. However, during all of the chaos, Doge has reportedly discovered billions of dollars in just the few weeks Trump has been president. These are some of the highest numbers of government fraud in U.S. history. In an interview that aired earlier this week with Fox's Sean Hannity, Trump and Elon Musk said that they expect to find $1 trillion in excess spending that could be slashed. Take a look.
Well, the overall goal is to try to get $1 trillion out of the deficit. And if the deficit is not brought under control, America will go bankrupt. This is a very important thing for people to understand. A country is no different from an individual in that if an individual overspends, an individual can go bankrupt, and so can a country.
As we can see from that clip, Elon is basically saying that America is in trouble if we can't get this $1 trillion deficit out of the way. If a person overspends, a country can do the same thing, and we can all end up bankrupt. Ex-user James Fishback wrote a post and tagged Musk and outlined his plan to take 20% of the savings found by Doge and send it back to hardworking Americans as a tax refund check. Fishback noted that if Doge achieves its goal of cutting $2 trillion of federal spending, that would provide about 78 million tax-paying households in the U.S. with about a $5,000 refund or Doge dividend check. And that would be per household, with the remainder of the money used to pay the national debt. Musk replied on Tuesday in response to the post, saying, "We'll check with the president." And a day later, while attending an investment conference in Miami, Trump confirmed that his administration is considering the concept. President Trump also said that having a potential of a dividend payment or another stimulus check would incentivize the people to report when they see wasteful spending happening.
Not too many of them, which is now really waging war on government waste, fraud, and abuse. And they're curbing inflation and saving taxpayers billions and billions of dollars every single day. And there's even under consideration a new concept where we give 20% of the Doge savings to American citizens and 20% goes to paying down debt, because the numbers are incredible, Elon. So many billions of dollars, billions, hundreds of billions. And we're thinking about giving 20% back to the American citizens and 20% down to pay back debt and pay down debt, which is, if you look at value, if it were a real estate balance sheet, the debt is tiny, but we still want to pay it down.
Later, as President Trump flew back to Washington, D.C. on Air Force One, he was asked by a reporter about the plan that was thought of by Musk. Watch this clip.
Musk is proposing potentially giving money to Americans based on what Doge is finding. Do you have any thoughts on that?
I love it. A 20% dividend, so to speak, for the money that we're saving by going after the waste and fraud and abuse and all of the other things that are happening. I think it's a great idea.
How much money do you think Americans...
Could be a lot. I mean, if it's 20%, we'd give back a lot of money to the taxpayer. And also it would give an incentive for the taxpayer to go out and report things to us where we can save money.
As we can see, President Trump is happy to say that he can give a dividend possibly to the American people. It's only 20%, but he said it could possibly even be more. And what he's really excited about is that it will incentivize others of the community to not be wasteful in their spending for our government and to report it if we see it. This potential refund for taxpayers has sparked a lot of debate and many opinions. The people want to know if Doge is truly trying to help your everyday Americans. On February 20th, 2025, the White House had a briefing that mainly was to recap President Trump's first month of presidency. But they were, of course, asked about the $5,000 stimulus check. This is what they had to say.
20% back to taxpayers, 20% to pay down the debt. 60% is left. Who gets that?
When you achieve savings, you can either return it to taxpayers, you can return it to our debtors, or it can be cycled into next year's budget, and then it just lowers the overall baseline for next year. This is all going to be worked on through the reconciliation process with Congress that's going underway right now.
And only a day later, on February 21st, Doge's advisor, who I mentioned previously, James Fishback, went on Fox to explain the plan behind his original analogy of the dividend check. This is what he had to say.
$55 billion in savings that Doge has found so far. Has that money then been transferred back to the Treasury, or is it still at those agencies waiting some sort of assignment from either the president or actually from Congress?
Well, it's somewhere in the ether, Dana, but I think the more important question is that where is this money going to go when we end up saving it when Doge is all said and done? President Trump is off to a smashing start. What an incredible first month. Now it's time to look at the Doge savings, as our proposal calls out, and send 20% of that right back to the hardworking Americans who sent it to D.C. in the first place, Dana. They didn't send it to Washington, D.C. for it to be spent on a rocky Sesame Street or on a transgender opera in Colombia. They sent it for our roads, our bridges, our health care, and our education. That clearly has been lacking. So guess what? Taxpayers are overdue for restitution. They need a refund. And I'm proud that President Trump supports our proposal.
So would, in your idea, and maybe that's not fully fleshed out yet, but would the dividend checks go to people, like all taxpayers, or just to people making a certain amount of money?
So the plan, everyone can read it at mydogedividend.com. The plan is very simple, Dana. We think Doge will save $2 trillion in total. You take 20% of that, that's $400 billion. You divide that by the number of American households that will pay federal income tax this year. That's 79 million. That gets you $5,000 to every American tax-paying household next summer. It'll have President Trump's signature on it, because without him, without his leadership, this would not be possible.
That clip from the Doge advisor, he's basically just breaking down what they're planning to do with the money and how they're going to give it back to tax-paying households. All of this makes me wonder what will happen. Will the community and the taxpayers get a $5,000 stimulus check? Will getting that money raise inflation? Will it make the deficit lower? We'll just have to wait and see what Donald Trump and Elon Musk have up their sleeve. See you next time on KW Lawholic.